What's up, financials and masters? Welcome to module 2 of the last and only investment guide you'll ever need. So we just talked about throwing away your crystal ball. This next one is throw away your crystal ball's kissing cousin. Very similar with a slight difference, but the takeaway is still the same. And that is stay invested no matter what. Okay. So here's a quote by Warren Buffett, which I love to share with our Financial Zen members. Our favorite, once asked in an interview, Warren Buffett replied, once asked in an interview what his favorite holding period is. And a holding period meaning like, how long do you own a stock? How long do you, own the fund? Like, how long do you own the thing, right, before you sell it? And Warren Buffett famously replied, our favorite holding period is forever. Now, what you're going to see, I quote Warren Buffett a lot because I don't think anybody can argue Warren Buffett is the most famous. And if he's famous, I got to say he's pretty darn successful, most famous and successful investor in the world. I believe in modeling the habits and the behaviors of people that are already successful. Like if they already have the playbook, let's just follow the playbook. And so you'll hear me quote Warren Buffett a lot throughout here because he's the best. If we can do what he's done, I'm willing to bet we're going to be pretty successful investors ourselves. So stay invested no matter what. So what's the difference between this and throwing away your crystal ball? Throwing away your crystal ball is future based, right? So you look out in the future, it's sort of further away. The presidential election's coming up. We think long term the market's overheating, it's going to tank. Whatever it is, it's sort of future. Staying invested always is more like you're feeling the pain, like the pain has already arrived. In your prediction of the future, and this is how it's related, prediction of the future is that pain's going to continue. That pain will continue and last until God knows when. And because of that pain, right, we're wired as human beings to run away from pain. And because you're feeling that pain in the moment, you're like, well, what's the thing that can stop it? Selling everything. So we talked about in the last module about how you can really hurt yourself in the long run by getting in and out, getting out of the markets, right? So you sell everything to stop the pain, and then you're worried about the pain coming back. So just like the examples that I was giving you in the last one, you sell on the bottom as it's tanking, right? So you sell almost towards the bottom, and then it rebounds sharply, and you miss the whole rebound because you're convinced that it's going to tank some more later, and it's just a head fake. And you miss the entire 50% up leg, upturn from the rebound. So that's why I know it can be painful. And that's why actually the hardest part of this investment strategy is when you're feeling the pain, when you log into your portfolio and you're like, oh man, we're down 10, 15, 20, 25, 30%, 50% in the case of 2008, it's really hard to say, okay, but I'm going to stick with it. But that's what you got to do. That's what Warren Buffett does. If anything, you actually buy more when those times happen if you're sitting on cash, which you shouldn't be. You should be fully invested always. But if you did, that'd be nice. Buy everything at a 50% discount. That's not bad. But it's really hard to do. It's easier said than done because, again, when you're in the depths of feeling that pain and it looks like there's no end in sight, it's really hard to stick with it. It's simple, but it's not easy. All right, let me share with you a couple more bits on staying invested no matter what. Okay, so market timing doesn't work. I think we've addressed this. If you allow yourself to get in and out of the market, you will buy and sell based on emotion, right? How you feel is determining your investment decisions, and that is a one-way ticket to Poorville. You are not going to make money investing if you are making decisions based on your emotions, and any prediction of the future or stop in pain that you're feeling today is emotionally based. Emotion is the enemy of portfolio returns. All right. Now, I hear what you're asking, and you're saying, okay, Rick, but I mean, you got to sell at some point, right? Like you're investing the money for retirement, and then you got to live off that money in retirement. So when do you actually sell? So there's 4 reasons to sell. And again, these are unemotional decisions based on the investment strategy, not because of how we're feeling about the markets, about the future, about whatever's happened recently. So there's 4 reasons to sell. Number 1 is your financial goals change. Number 2 is your risk tolerance. So financial goals changing. So if you have 30 years to invest, you should be, if you have 30 years to invest, 30 years before you need the money, then you can afford to invest aggressively. meaning like pedal to the metal, get as much safe returns as you can, which I'll show you what that means momentarily in the coming modules. But get your 10%, right? You can ride out the ups and downs in the market because you got 30 years. Now, if your 30 years becomes 3 years, right? If your financial goes from being goal goes from being 30 years out to being 3 years out, you should be invested entirely different. An investment for a goal that is 3 years in the future is not the same portfolio that you should have for a financial goal that is 30 years into the future. Okay. So that's one reason to sell, is that something happens and your financial plan, your financial goals are much sooner, or for that matter, much further away, and you need to switch up how you're invested. The other reason to sell is a change in your risk tolerance. So your risk tolerance is, we'll get to that, that's boarding the right ride, right? So if you do get nervous and you are feeling very panicky, then there's some steps to go through. Address your risk tolerance and see how you feel. We all go through, emotional sort of changes, atmospheres. Now, the difference between this and selling like into the bottom because you're freaked out in the moment is that this is more like the climate, right? So you have climate and you got weather, right? I live in San Francisco. It's 65 and either foggy or sunny. I mean, that's pretty much the weather here year round. And that's the climate. But we have cold days, we have warm days, we have rainy days, we have, well, not snowy days, but you get the idea. And the weather varies, but generally the climate is like 65 and sunny or foggy. Same anywhere you go, right? Now, if you decide you don't like that climate, if I woke up one day, I'm like, I'm not crazy about 65 and sunny or foggy, then I can move to a different city, right? That's the equivalent of selling. Then I can go to Dallas or Austin or New York or whatever, that's a change in climate. Selling into the bottom because you get nervous is like a bad weather day kicks you out of town. Like that would be drastic. One bad day of weather, like you're like, I'm out of here. No, you're not gonna make a decision based on that. You make decisions based on the climate. And so that's how to think about the risk tolerance. Okay, the last two are, I'm not going to touch too much on because that's the bonus material, and I don't want to spoil your bonus material. But systematic rebalancing does involve selling, again, unemotionally and part of your overall strategy. So very deliberate, and I'm going to share with you that system. And then tax loss harvesting. So that's a tax, again, part of the strategy, not emotionally based, but that's just good, smart investment management. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the bonus material as well. All right, so that is it for the Stay Invested Always module. Throw away your crystal ball, forget about the future, and stay invested always, even when it's really hurting in the moment, right? You don't want to move out of your city because you had a bad day or a bad season, or even a bad season, right, of weather. You want to move because you're the climate change. Okay, thanks for watching this one. Hopefully you enjoyed this one as well, and I will see you in the next module.